Police say there's a connection because in Florida, pawn shops can buy stolen property without fear of prosecution unless the person who brought the stuff in comes right out and says that it's stolen or hot or it fell off the back of a truck. Well, Fort Lauderdale's newspaper, the Sun Sentinel, did a series calling some pawn shops cash machines for thieves. And as we first reported last December, the police there, who want the law changed, went undercover to show how easy it is to pawn things that are obviously stolen. The bum with the shopping cart is really Detective Jack G. of the Fort Lauderdale Police. Onto that sheet, he has a pair of computer monitors. He and his partner are videotaping this sting, hoping the pawn shops will buy things from them that are obviously stolen. They won't come right out and say it's stolen, but they'll try to make it so obvious that prosecutors will want to prosecute.
We were in old, torn clothing. We posed as homeless, gave our address as the homeless camp. When we arrived at the pawn shop, we acted like we had no idea what we had.
They used a torn ID issued to prison inmates. And to make them look even shiftier, each piece of equipment bore a prominent sticker saying property of Core Pawn Thieves. At the Universal Pawn Shop, owner Lenny Firestein spotted the Core Pawn Thieves label right away.
Did you buy it for Core Pawn Thieves?
The cops told us that Firestein clearly knew they had not bought them from Core Pawn Thieves. Nonetheless, he gave them $70 for their 2 monitors.
Thanks, Brett. You got to remember that these people are buying property that, unless you're deaf, dumb, and blind, you would know is stolen. You could drag an aircraft carrier to the pawn shop and they would accept it as long as you would say it's you.
So we went back to the Universal Pawn Shop to ask Lenny Firestein about it.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Whatever it is, I didn't do it.
I got a tape I want to show you.
Okay.
Okay? You're going to see yourself on the tape.
Did you buy it from Core Pawn Thieves? Yeah. I'm not going to film anything with this.
Firestein later told us that buying from the cops was a mistake. And he wasn't the only one. The undercover cops tested 5 pawn shops. 3 of the 5 bought the obviously stolen goods. At the Mo Money pawn shop, after buying from the cops, the clerk told them that what he really wanted was monitors.
If you come back by, see what you can do about bringing in some monitors.
We took the undercover police tape back to the Mo Money pawn shop, where we found another clerk there, Barry Fisher. I want to show you a tape.
Okay?
A tape.
So they're right in the middle of doing inventory.
This will take 5 minutes.
Okay. Bring in the monitors. Let's see what you can do about bringing in some monitors.
Okay. You know who that guy was?
No.
A cop.
Okay.
Undercover.
Okay.
All right. And what he's trying to find out is why pawn shops like this one take stolen property. I mean, here's a guy who comes in. He's homeless.
Right.
Here's what your clerk says. See what you can do about bringing back some monitors. Now, how in the world?
That's with stupidity on, even for a poor broke to say something like that.
But there it is on tape.
Oh, more than that. Pure stupidity.
But this cop, Jack G, told me this morning, he said, this is legalized fencing that you people do.
Well, everything gets written up with serial numbers. I can show you.
You can write them up and from now will kingdom come, but you're giving them money for property that you know has been stolen.
No, we don't know. How would we have any way of knowing it was stolen?
If I were to come in here,
Right.
looking homeless, I have a prison ID, I don't even know what my stuff is. Isn't that a little suspicious to you?
I would definitely find it a little suspicious.
Well, you happen to be here at
I
that time.
didn't even see the deal. I was with somebody else.
And then he reminded me of something I'd said earlier.
This is going to take 5 minutes. The longest 5 minutes of my life.
Barry, well, yes, I imagine that's it. I thank you for your being forthcoming about it. So the cops caught the pawn shops buying obviously stolen goods. But state attorneys say that is not good enough. But they still can't prosecute because the cops didn't actually say straight out that their stuff was stolen. And to Fort Lauderdale's Mayor James Noggle, that just doesn't make sense. What thief in his right mind is going to come in and say, I stole this, how much will you give me for it?
They don't. They put the material down, they get the money. And this has to stop.
But Mayor Norgal says it won't stop because the state won't let cities pass their own tough pawn shop laws, and he blames Florida's powerful pawn shop lobby.
The pawn shop industry has very effective lobbyists, and they go to Tallahassee and they get
Spread money around?
and their lobbyists have a lot of influence. They're pretty powerful people. They make campaign contributions, and they have this preemption bill that prevents cities from enacting any laws that are tougher than the state law.
The mayor says it's not just Florida. He says many states have pawn shop problems, and some pawnbrokers are getting more brazen. One pawn shop owner even asked a young thief to go out and get him some Rolex watches.
The young man didn't even know what a Rolex was. He opens up the phone book, finds an ad for a local jeweler that sells Rolexes, goes down, robs the place with a shotgun, with a miner along with him, and gets 12 Rolex watches. Fortunately, we caught the guy.
The police say that even if pawn shops don't ask thieves to steal, some still encourage crime because they're so quick to buy stolen goods. Corey Graham agrees. He's in prison in Florida for robbery. He says that pawn shops are the best places to get quick cash for stolen goods, no questions asked. And he should know, he's pawned all kinds of things.
Cameras, jewelry, watches, all kind of things, TVs, anything. They'll take.
What was the weirdest thing that you ever found?
Golf club.
Okay, where'd you get the golf clubs? Whose golf club?
From a friend. He had stolen.
How much you get for the golf club?
The golf clubs we got like $90.
Not a lot of your friends playing golf. They still didn't ask any questions.
And I know they know we didn't play golf. They don't know to ask questions. None of them do.
Why didn't they ask questions?
Because they crooked.
Because they're crooked.
Yeah,
So you were crooked and they were crooked.
they in it for their stuff too.
Would you go to the same pawn shop over and over?
I went to one right up the street. Cash America farm. I done been there by
Cash America?
Yeah, I've been there at least about 50 times or more. Some of them knew my name by heart when I come in.
Hey, Corey, what do you got this time? Really? Cash America runs the largest chain of pawn shops in the country with more than 300 stores, and company policy forbids accepting stolen property. Corey Graham says that may be the policy, but it's not the practice at his favorite branch. The manager there tried to pass us off to corporate public relations, but we wanted to talk to him. Corey Graham told us that you have a no questions asked policy.
I'm more than happy to set up, interviews so we can get interview. I just have to take care of my customers first.
So what if we just hung around until you took care of your customers?
I'll be more than happy to set up an interview for you tomorrow.
With you?
If I can set up something.
With you?
I won't be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's my day off.
I see. Barbara Lewis was knocked to the ground by a mugger, who then stole her purse with some expensive jewelry in it. The police found some of her jewelry at the Pick and Pay pawn shop, so she went there to claim it, bringing pictures to prove that the jewelry was hers.
I said to them, I said, can I have my jewelry now? And they said, no, we own it. You have to pay us for your jewelry. We paid money for it. And I said, I bought and paid for it, and it was stolen from me, and you bought stolen jewelry.
Suing the pawn shop would have been expensive and time-consuming, so Barbara Lewis opted to buy back her stolen property.
And I purchased my jewelry back for $740.
Which is the $740 that they had paid to the guy who pawned it.
That's correct. It's a very insulting experience because now you're being violated again because you're having to buy back your stolen jewelry.
She dealt with pawn shop owner Bob D. McTeague.
I can understand why people be angry if they don't understand the industry. They've been victimized and they have to buy their own stuff back. Which, however, we go through a lot of expenses to document all this stuff and to recover it.
Expenses, because pawn shops have to fill out a pawn slip for everything they buy, including the item's description, its serial number, the seller's name, his ID, even his thumbprint. The pawn shops daily send those pawn slips to the police. Now you might think the police could match pawn slips against lists of stolen property, but they say they can't keep up with the paperwork. To help them, certain pawnbrokers, including Cash America, gave the cops some computer equipment. But the police admit they are still buried under pawn slips. So thieves like Corey Graham don't worry about leaving their thumbprint. Graham says he is sure DiMattina's clerk knew that Barbalor's jewelry was stolen. How does he know? He's the person who pawned it.
That happened, lady bracelet, ring.
All right, a 19-year-old kid comes in, and he has a bunch of jewelry.
It never occurs to say, hey, wait a minute, where'd you get this?
Well, I don't think that's our particular position to police the community.
DiMattina's position is that Barbara Lewis is lucky that her jewelry wound up in a pawn shop so that she could get it back.
If I wasn't here with these 20 pawn shops in Fort Lauderdale, there's 100 times more vehicles for this guy that mugged Mrs. Lewis to dispose of his goods, none of which will be documented or regulated. So
Why did he come here then, you think?
I don't know. You asked him, why did he come here?
He said because it's an easy few months.
Well, if it's an easy few bucks, it's an easy few dollars that's documented as opposed to selling it on the street, selling it at these flea markets.
Fort Lauderdale's newspaper, the Sun Sentinel, put a full year of pawn slips, 70,000 of them, into a computer, which enabled reporters Scott Glover and Evelyn LaRubia to prove that there is a connection between property crime and pawn shops there. According to the newspaper, the most prolific pawners down there have three things in common: an arrest record, no job, and an endless supply of things to pawn. We should point out that Fort Lauderdale does have some pawn shops that refuse to buy stolen goods. The police say that People's Pawn closely questions its pawn. Manager Larry Fisher told us that he prefers making an honest buck.
We really want to do a service to people and help people that can't go to a bank and say, hey, I need a loan of $50 or $100. We want to help them.
So you have a message for the crooked pawn shops?
Yeah. Get out of the business.
But Barry Fisher at Mo Money insisted he also asks questions to avoid buying stolen property.
What if a fella came in here half a dozen times in 10 days with 8 VCRs?
Oh, absolutely we question it.
You do?
Oh, absolutely.
Paul Kuto, according to your own records, brought various items into this pawn shop 38 times in less than 2 months. Here's some of what he pawned.
Okay.
13 women's rings, 10 men's rings, 11 necklaces, 9 cameras, 6 watches, 3 VCRs, and 2 TVs.
Okay.
What are you selling me? Come on.
It's not the same pawnbroker that's here. I mean, I may have done 2 deals with Kudo or 3 deals. We had 2 ships back then. So I may have done 2 or 3 coins with him over a 2-month period, and then the next guy may have done a couple of coins with them, and we have no way of knowing.
38 times in 2 months.
Okay, I find that a little bit excessive.
And on the pawn slips, he said he was unemployed. Nobody smelled a rat. You know, the day after his last visit here, he was arrested for burglary and he was sentenced to 2 years in prison.
Oh, okay.
Did that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, I know all about this. Yeah, no, I'm getting straight. It happens. What am I going to tell you? It happens.
You know, you have a clear conscience.
Oh, absolutely.
Since we broadcast that report, all the pawn shops around Fort Lauderdale are now computerized, and so police there are now keeping track of what is being pawned. As a result, police are recovering 3 times more stolen property from pawn shops. And they're arresting a lot more people there.